Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome to Adam McKola TV. This is the Weekly United. We are back and we are live this week. We don't normally go live for the Weekly United, but I thought this week we're gonna need something to stop us from going insane. It's week one, no footballers. The whole world is put into quarantine. The whole world is put into self-isolation, and the whole world seemingly put into lockdown. It's like we're on the verge of that here in the UK at the moment. Schools are going to shut soon. Everything's going to start to shut soon. People being told to work from home. We're about to hit that period of time, and with all sport called off pretty much. There was a few games in Turkey going on. There was a UFC tournament, UFC game in Brazil, but there's not a lot going on now. It's all come to a shutdown, and we're absolutely going insane, aren't we? We are going insane. I've seen you guys say we're going insane in the membrane in the comments already, and we are absolutely going insane in the brain. Because with no sport, there's no escape from real life. There's no escape from the dramas and the problems and the troubles in the world. There's none of that. There's no moaning about football. There's no moaning about starting 11, transfers, rubbish players, great players, the best, who's not the best, Ronaldo or Messi, all that stuff. We're not arguing about that right now because there's no football going on and there's no sign when it will return. Euro 2020 has now become Euro 2021 in order to give the European leagues opportunity to wrap up their leagues and of course look ahead to the next season. So by putting the Euros to next year, it just kills that dead, and there's no need for the worry about that. But will we even get our league campaigns finished by the end of June? I can't see that happening either. I really can't see that happening. We've heard UEFA want to get the Europa League final and the Champions League final, and have kind of penciled in dates in June for those. I can't see us coming to an end of those competitions then, unless they're looking to complete games behind closed doors, which to me doesn't make any sense. I can't see that happening. I genuinely can't. So guys, let me know what you're thinking. When do you think we'll see football again? It could be a while. We could even start to see the start of next season come into question, because surely they're not going to let this current campaign drag on to July, August. And then if we do get to July, August and this issue's sorted itself out, or started to sort itself out, surely we start to look to the new campaign. No one knows what's going on at the moment, but we're here. We're in lockdown, we're live, and we're here to try and help you guys get through it. I can see Lone Wanderer, David Parkinson, Henry Walker, Azaria, Elia in the comments, Glenn, Regatale, Jamar, the Samoan, lots of regulars, couple of new names I'm seeing. Thank you for joining us, guys. The only bit of football action we've probably had recently is Ronaldinho in prison. Yes, you heard that right. Ronaldinho is in prison for going to Paraguay on a fake passport, a country that he didn't even need a passport to get into. Brazilian nationals don't need a passport to get into Paraguay, but here we are. Here we are. Now, Mo's in the comments, and welcome back, Mo, Manav, Mighty Chubb. Thank you for joining us again. Mo's in saying mid to late April. Now, the clubs have obviously said April the 3rd initially. Now, it looks like that one will be extended. You're seeing things like Glastonbury, which is in June, getting cancelled. And it's like, unless they expect to go ahead with these games behind closed doors, they're not happening. They're not happening. And sport and football is just not the same behind closed doors. It's just simply not. Now, you see Austin on this shirt. It was 316 this week. We had 316 day, and Austin made a return to Raw. But look how dead it was, because there was no crowd, there was no pop, there was no energy, there was no enthusiasm. And if Steve Austin can't even make it work, nobody can make it work. And I think it could ultimately affect the product a little bit more. Now, the Premier League and football leagues have got to kind of think, well, we've got to fulfill big TV money and big TV contracts, and we've got to get that sorted. And again, that's understandable. But if you can't play the games, you can't play the games. I think the Bundesliga, I don't know if it's been confirmed with them, that they're just not going to have any football. they're just going to call it off, and there's no point umming and ahhing. It's just season's done, and it remains to be seen if a few other places do that. Inner Soul is back. He thinks we'll be back in January, and Mo does think it'll be mid to late April, but behind closed doors. Which again, maybe having games on TV will help and all that, but still, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be the same. It'll be like watching reserve games, wouldn't it? No crowd, and the quality of football will be better, but it'll be like watching reserve games. Not for me. That's the thing. It's the money that would be lost if they cancel, and that's what everyone will start to think of. And ultimately, football clubs are businesses as well, and you'll see some clubs are having to lay off staff and stuff like that now. Manchester United won't probably be in that position, but there'll still be temp staff that will suffer at Old Trafford, and just to keep that money coming through the clubs, they'll want to play their games even if they're behind closed doors. The problems for the smaller clubs is they don't get televised, or they don't get vast amounts of money even if they do get televised, so it's not really there for them, and some of them will be laying off staff, which is again sad. But it's a time when, like the champ says in the comments, you got to keep safe and look out for each other and kind of take this seriously. If we all start to take it more seriously now, the quicker it will be resolved. If we don't take it seriously and we start, ramping on that, then that's when the issue becomes even worse. So we need to chill. Anyway, this is the Weekly United, so we'll be discussing the week of Manchester United news, and there's been a lot of news this week, despite the fact the whole world is going into shutdown now. Training was cancelled indefinitely, so they've called off training indefinitely, so the players won't be back in training yet, but that hasn't stopped Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Dalot striking up their bromance and continuing where they left off. Now, if you remember, there was a rumour that Diogo Dalot was making packed lunches and shit for Bruno Fernandes, and at this time we on Full Time Devils obviously are followed by Diogo Dalot, so I DM'd him and I said, is this true? We want the exclusive. What are you making for him? And he said it's not true, but they are best of friends and they are becoming little buddies off the pitch, and there's been a video of them two having a little kickabout in the garden, as you do. Now, all of Manchester United's players were tested, and none of them came back as positive for coronavirus, which, given the circumstances with some other clubs, is great to see. Obviously, we've seen the likes of Arteta, I think Mangala, Benjamin Mendy was tested, Leicester players were tested. There's been a few other players in different countries tested positive, and it's good that we haven't seen that from United, because you don't want that setback either. So yeah, that's good in that sense, but of course training has been called off indefinitely, because regardless of whether the United players are all clear, mixing with their families, with their kids who may be going to school and stuff, they still have a chance of possibly catching that, so they've got to be careful on that front. What we were talking about next, what we've also heard of this week, is Odion Ighalo. Could he be staying at Manchester United? So we'll be discussing that. Paul Pogba has been linked with staying at Manchester United as well, so we'll be discussing that. And is there anything else you guys want us to discuss? Keep your comments coming in and we'll answer as many questions and super chats as possible, so get your super chats in as well. Now, Pogba's worn a Juventus shirt. I think, wasn't that about Matuidi or something like that, or something, but he's played for them. Is it a surprise that he's got Juventus gear? I don't see a major issue with that. I don't think that means he's leaving, although he might leave. I'm not disregarding that, but I'm not really asked about it either, to be totally honest with you. We saw Marcus Rojo wearing a PSG shirt at one point, but yeah, like Mo Wada says, I believe it was Matuidi's jersey and he has coronavirus, so that is why he was wearing the shirt. And I suppose that's another little bit in the Weekly United. The world and week of United is Paul Pogba rattling feathers by and ruffling feathers and rattling cages by doing normal things that footballers do. And obviously, this is another one of them, wearing a Juventus shirt in support of his mate Matuidi, who has contracted coronavirus. Now, although Matuidi has contracted coronavirus and Paul Pogba has gone out in support of him, that wasn't the only story that Paul Pogba was involved in this week, as there's been a number of rumours. The Athletic was saying it seems like United are confident in that Paul Pogba will sign a new deal. Things seem to have changed at the club. Now, there are still the rumours that he's leaving, and he wants to leave, and he's going to leave. And I still think it's a 50-50, kind of maybe even a 70-30 chance that he'll leave. Then there's a good chance he could stay, especially when you now look at there's no Euros. When will football restart again? It might be a case that he just ends up staying because of that. You know what I mean? No football, no Euros, no nothing. Is a team going to buy him? So there's a lot of different things which can come into the equation now. But before this whole coronavirus situation, the rumours were there that he was potentially looking to extend his stay at Manchester United. And like I've said before, I'd be delighted with that if he stayed at Manchester United. I'd love to see him staying at the club. Also, Odion Ighalo is another one that has been linked with an extended stay at the club. And it was a link with a £15 million move for him. Now, me and Dean chatted about this in Straight Up MUFC, which was released yesterday, and you can check that out once we're finished here. But we talked about whether he'd take a pay cut to come here. Now, we already know he is on a pay cut, but it's on a loan move for a couple of months. Would he do that on a long-term basis? But we also have to consider that he's going to take a lower wage anyway, because he's going to have to be forced into a lower wage in China in his next contract renewal if he was to stay there. So the fact that, you know, he could potentially be on a lower wage here, I don't think comes into the equation. I think he'd be happy to stay even with half the wages that he was getting in China. So I don't see that being an issue. £15 million for a squad player, a striker that's going to be involved in the squad, and if he plays like he has done, isn't a bad choice. When you look at Rashford and Martial, they're likely to be first choice. You got Mason Greenwood. Who knows who we sign in that front three if we do get a Jadon Sancho or whatever. But Odion Ighalo becoming a part of that would be decent. And I think when you look at what he's shown for Manchester United, he'll most likely be leaving China soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few other bigger clubs looking at him thinking we could take him as a backup option. But United have the sense there where he wants to play for us. He's a United fan and he wants to play for the club. So I think, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing keeping him. What do you guys think? Get your comments in. Should we be keeping Odion Ighalo? Will we be keeping Paul Pogba in the summer? Let us know in those comments below. Make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, getting your super chats in. Ilya is saying we need to keep Ighalo. He's good. Ighalo left China at the right time, says Yassine. Glenn says views on Sanchez coming back next season. I don't think he'll be playing for Man United again, to be honest. I think that's just talk from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in order to keep a little bit of value there. Regatale says Defo be happy for Ighalo as a squad player. He clearly loves the club. Glenn says Ighalo in. Igalinho. Had a tank. Tom Hank 3 times a day this week. I've got blisters on my fingers, says Daniel Rowe, who's obviously making a lot of his time in self-isolation. Go on, Dan. Get stuck in. Gary Skeeter says yes. No to Pogba, says Rifleman. Ighalo, says Gary again. Keep, says Rune, in terms of Ighalo. And Mo Wada says Pogba in if he commits. Yeah, if he sign, I don't think he stays without signing a new deal, to be totally honest with you. I just don't think that happens. Don't think Pogba stays without signing a new deal. Lone Wanderer has jumped in and said, loving the content, buddy. Really hope you stay safe and maybe get to 100,000 subs, says the Lone Wanderer. Yes, mate, we will be staying safe. Fingers crossed about all that. I'm supposed to be meeting up with Steve tomorrow for Uncensored, but I don't know what the drill is with that, if we're still doing that, if that's been cancelled as well. I haven't got it, so if he hasn't, well, I don't even know. I could. That's the thing. And he's got kids. He might not even want to link me. But thank you for the super chat, Lone Wanderer. I do appreciate it. I really do appreciate your contribution to this channel. And remember, I'm taking things a lot more seriously on this channel right now. We're having daily content. You had a video yesterday, the day before, the day before, the day before, the day before. Some days you get into. Tomorrow, you've got another video coming, which is a FIFA video. FIFA decides. United against LASK Lynx. We have that 5-0 deficit in that we're leading 5-0 after the first leg. And I'll decide whether we get through. Can Linz pull off the comeback now? I did record this earlier and I was going to edit it as soon as we finish this live. But when I looked at the Elgato on this computer after, the footage was not there. And it was such a good game as well. Now, I don't want to tell you what happens because I'm going to bring out another video and we're going to do it again. And I want to try and keep the same energy. And I don't want to disappoint myself by telling you what happened, reminding myself what happened, how good the video would have been, and all that. So I don't want to get into it. But I'm going to do that video again. So I'll record that tomorrow morning and we'll get it out in the afternoon, in the evening, around when the game would have been on. Now, I don't know about you guys in them comments here. But does anyone know how to do live streaming with the camera on it? Because I can do live streaming with just my voice on it on FIFA, but I don't know how to do the live streaming with the camera on it. So if anyone knows how to do that, or do I have to just keep recording it, editing it and uploading it later? Because then I could even do LASK Lynx United live. Do you know what I mean? David's just won 700 quid on the Irish Lotto. Get stuck in, David. My nan used to play that, the Irish Lotto. You used to have to go into the bookies to put that one on, didn't you? Keep them both and sign a defensive midfielder, says a legit on the boss. Tonio could be what you're predicting, Adam, if it's still on. I'll do a video on that for Straight Up with Dean, who's he knows more about UFC and MMA than me. I'd go for Khabib, but I am very much casual in that sense. Swap Alexis with Ighalo, says here. Be honest, are you worried by the coronavirus, says Daniel. I'm not worried, no. Things don't really worry me like that. You know what I mean? OBS, I've got OBS. That's what I'm using right now, is OBS. Or would it have to be Twitch? Can you stream Twitch through onto YouTube? I want to keep everything on YouTube. Because how does my YouTube subscribers know when I go live on Twitch? And Twitch is going to be a concentrated market where man like Castro and them man are dominating, and like one person and me are going to be playing. At least my subscribers know me. Cheers, David. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm going to try and work it out. If not, I'll do the LASK Lynx video. And then I'll figure out how to do live streaming, and we'll just start a fresh season or something. Keep them comments coming in. Make sure you're liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, super chatting. This is the Weekly United. This is the Lockdown Live. How many of these will we be doing? This is week 1, no football. So we'll be doing many more of these. You can stream your Twitch on YouTube. Ah, okay. So Tish, would you stream through your PlayStation to OBS and then add your webcam on the laptop onto OBS and drag it into the corner, and then on OBS add it on the is it called window capture or something like that? Have I kind of got the right idea? I'm using a Mac, and obviously I've got the PS4 as well. Do you think Ighalo will be here next season? So we've spoken about the rumours about his contract, Hader, but I do think he will be here next season. Do I think it will start on time? No, I don't think it will start on time, Tish. So I don't think the season will start on time at all. I think it could be dragging on a little bit. Love Ighalo, he'll be here next season, says Red92. Smash the like button, says Inner Soul. You heard that right. If the season gets going again, hopefully Rashford will be back. We'll have Rashford, Pogba, all those kind of guys. Could be absolutely mad. Legend. Nice one, Tish. Appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. I'm going to have to get fiddling around with it to try and figure it out. But we'll get going. We'll get working. And if I can do it live, I'll do it live. You know what I mean? But if not, we're going to defo have a FIFA video anyway. I've got a webcam. I'm using a webcam to do this live stream right now, which is pretty clear too. Who to win our player of the year this season, says Glenn Lim. You're looking at Marcus Rashford, Fred, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Anthony Martial, and Harry Maguire would be our top 5. I think it then come down to Fred, Wan-Bissaka, and Rashford maybe. But Rashford's been injured. I'd go Wan-Bissaka. Then Bembe says, what's going on with Matic and would he get a new contract? So that was one of my other topics. So thank you for reminding me, mate. I do appreciate that. Make sure you're keeping it locked, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. As for Matic, United have triggered the extension in his contract to bring it to 2021. So Nemanja Matic will be here next season, assuming the season starts on time and runs for the same length of time as we expect it to. So he will be here next season. Now that's a turn up for the books, considering I didn't expect him to do that. I really didn't expect him to do that. He's turned it around. He's started doing better. His performances are getting better. His experience is showing. And I'm happy to see him sign a new contract. Well, get that extension triggered. Because I do think he's been a positive influence and a good addition to the squad this season when I thought his time was up. Henry Walker says, keep up the uploads. I appreciate you and your super chat, mate. We've had a couple today, so thank you very much, Henry Walker. I appreciate you very much. Henry, you legend, says Lone Wanderer. Wan-Bissaka, best player of the season. Defs. Get your player of the year if the season was to finish right now. If the season was to finish right now, get your players of the year in for who that would be. Next season we will end above Liverpool, says Tish. Stay strong. We may end above them this season. Imagine that. Because this season ain't finishing. Max says, Adam, are you still Ollie out? I've never been Ollie out. I've never been Ollie in or out. Like I've said before, I don't like to assign to one opinion, because when you assign to one opinion, you never see balance. I was always on the fence with Ollie. I wanted him to succeed, but I didn't think he had it in him. I didn't think he was good enough. He's proven me wrong with some of what he's done. He's definitely improved the club and built the foundations for success. Is he the man to take us forward and build on that? I don't know. But he's definitely earned the opportunity to do that. And if, let's say, this season ended now and, you know, it was done and dusted, would he deserve a chance next season? Yeah, he would. So I think he's been doing well. Honourable mention for Rashford, but Cockney Red says Wan-Bissaka is his player of the year for Manchester United. DJ John T says, what about Jude Bellingham? The last we seen from Jude Bellingham was that his parents had visited Carrington. Now, his parents would have visited many different clubs. They would have visited Borussia Dortmund. I'm sure they would have visited a number of English clubs. They would have been around because he's obviously open to speak to clubs. Birmingham City, you know, he's going to be leaving. And he's open to speak to and find the best deal for him. But is that definitely going to be United just because his parents came to see us and left and his dad had a big smile on his face? Not really. Now, hopefully he does, because he's a very talented player. But at the same time, I think many young players go to visit Carrington, go to visit the team, go to visit all that stuff, and don't necessarily sign for us. So I think we have to bear that in mind as well. Cheers, fair mods. I'm reading them comments. I appreciate it. Glenn says, really, Adam, how can you see this season finishing? Because it has to. How does this season finish? I think if we weren't to play any more games for the next 3 months, you have to finish the season null and void. You can't have it dragging into next season. You can't go to summer and then come back and continue a campaign, because then when does the next one start? What does that do to next Euros? What does that do to the knock-on effect? Now, that's going to have a big impact on things. But you have to call it off. You can't honour the current positions. And that's me taking my bias aside and how funny it would be to see Liverpool miss out on a title. But let's say, okay, because they're 25 points clear and they were obviously going to win the league, there was no way they were going to throw it away this year. But after 28, 29 games, they needed 1 or 2 more wins. They were obviously going to win the league. But it stopped. They hadn't won the league. So if you honour Liverpool's position, how can you... You can't honour everyone else. You have to honour everyone else's position. And you can't. You simply can't. You can't give United 5th in a Champions League spot because City aren't in it next season, because of the simple fact that Sheffield United can say, we can still get it. Spurs can say, we can still get it. Arsenal can say, we can still get it. Mathematically, we can still get it. You can't relegate Aston Villa when they've got a game in hand on those above them and 9 games to go. How often do you see teams pull up and go out of the relegation zone? How often do you see a late push for the top 4? You see it so often. So you can't give the league as it stands right now, because it's a 29. No one's had a 29 game season before. Not everyone's played each other twice. So if you're gonna finish it behind closed doors, do it. Otherwise, call it off. You can't be honouring anything as it is. You can't be making decisions like that. You either have to null and void it, or you have to play it behind closed doors. There's no in between. For me, those are the only 2 options. Glenn says cancelling the Euros is just buying time for the virus to die down to end the season. I don't think you can void the season. Just end it as it is now, as incomplete. Same different, except you don't wipe away everything that's happened. I don't think you can. I genuinely can't. You can't do that. If Liverpool don't win it this year, I don't think they'll win it next year, said David. I don't think their fans would turn up next year if they didn't get it. I think their heads would absolutely go. Their heads would be gone. Heads would be gone. Have I got techers? I'm a little bit of a decent footballer. I'm obviously I wasn't professional or anything. I've played a lot through the years. I'm 30 years old now, so getting slower and all that, but I'm still half okay. Wouldn't mind showcasing some of my talents. I was going to play for Paddock FC. Was supposed to be training for them today, but obviously Corona hit, which isn't great. Get hitting that like button, get commenting, get sharing, get subscribing. Ilya says void, void, void. Remaining fixtures by penalty shootouts in the training grounds, yeah? But can you imagine the shit it would cause? Hence why I say it has to finish, bro. And this could affect next season. My worry, says Glenn. I agree with you as well. And in United's interest is that it either settled or goes, carries on. Like, because, you know, that's the interest. Because we get Champions League possibly then. If it's null and void, we're in the Europa again. Ridwan says career mode. We're going to have the video tomorrow for the LSK Linz game. FIFA 20 decides. Then we're going to probably get some live streaming going on as well for random times. And I'll just jump on a live stream and do something weird, maybe late at night or something like that. And just see what we can get going. Keep it popping here on Adam McKola TV. Rabs has just joined. I want football back, Adam. Don't we all? Don't we all? Hi mate, West Ham will screw the South, says void the season, says Viking. I think we all owe West Ham a drink if that happens. How funny is it though, seeing Liverpool slip again? There's just always something stopping, and the universe has got our backs, says Rune. Just end the season now and deal with the headaches after. Null and void seems like a waste of 75% of the season, says Cockney Reds. One love, says Chris. Keep your consistency up, mate, and you can do things just like Steve says, Dembembe. That's the plan. Look, I put a lot of time into full-time doubles and focus on that, which takes my attention away from this. But I've promised to balance myself out and be able to do both a little bit more now. That doesn't mean full-time doubles is going to stop, but we're going to get this cracking a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this is the only channel I got. Our worst player of the season. I don't like to do that, but our worst player of the season has been Phil Jones. Based on performances, that is. Yeah, Lone Wanderer, we'll try and do that. Maybe when I do the live stream, we'll do a little bit more of the career stuff. But the videos that I edit up and record to do will just be the FIFA 20 decides. So we'll have one for the Linz game, one on Sunday for the Norwich game, which was going to be in the FA Cup, and then we'll keep it rolling like that for our lever long. The football is cancelled for. This is the Weekly United, where we look at the world in the week in the world of Manchester United, and it is a weird, wide world this week, isn't it? It's a weird one. The last time we were in Old Trafford was that Scott McTominay goal. What a moment that was. And if you're wondering where the video is from my channel, got pulled. I think the Premier League pulled it or something like that, which is a damn shame. A damn shame. Glenn, appreciate you, bro. Glenn Lim's signing of the season so far as a football as a whole. I definitely think Wan-Bissaka's up there, but football as a whole. Chuck some suggestions to me out in case I've forgotten any. In the league this season, who's been a quality signing? It's like a fly, mosquito. Who's been quality in the league this season? Good signings. I'd say Wan-Bissaka, you know. Are you taking Greenwood's goals away, Rashford's goals away? Says Cockney Reds. But they're not really gone. They're still in our memories, right? But it is a weird one then, isn't it? Do them goals count towards records and things like that? You know, if Rashford was to go on and break the record for United, would them goals count? You bring up an interesting point. You do bring up an interesting point. Do I know any good football documentaries, Tish? Beyond the Promised Land. It's a good one. About United 99. I like the ones that are about different clubs. Like, Copper did a great one on Derby Days about the Argentinian one. River Plate and that. I really enjoyed that. It's kind of like a documentary, isn't it? I did a football documentary. British Asians in football, which is on Copper too. Not that this is a advertisement for Copper or anything. Hold tight, Poet and Vooch. Wan-Bissaka first, Bruno and Ighalo. Oh yeah, Bruno, what a signing Bruno was. So Erling Haaland's a shout, you know, for Dortmund. Obviously went there in January, but nevertheless it is a shout. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Weekly United today. I really have appreciated it. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're commenting, sharing and subscribing. Make sure you're washing your hands and washing your ass. And make sure you're keeping it locked. Remember, tomorrow, FIFA 20 decides Manchester United against LASK Lynx at Old Trafford. I will be in charge, letting you know who goes through to the next round of the Europa League, seeing as there's not any real football. And we might even have a live stream if I can figure out how to do that as well. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and comment, share and subscribing. For now, I have been Adam McKola. You guys have been absolute legends. Whether you watch live or you watch back later, thank you for tuning in to Weekly United. I'm out of here.